Before we get into the content today, just a quick reminder that if it resonates with you and you want to book in with me or my coaches, there is a free call booking link in the description. Enjoy. Would you like to know what a man is thinking when he's hurt you, or even when he's hurting you? In this video, that's what I'm going to talk about. It's not the nicest thing. No one likes being hurt in relationships, but I think having a bit more understanding around it is really helpful, and not just understanding, but what to do about it. Because there is such a thing as too much understanding, which I'm going to explain as well. Okay, so what is a man thinking when he's hurting you? Why do we hurt each other in intimate relationships? What is that? Why is the person that we're closest to usually the one that hurts us the most? We all have wounds, whether we like to admit it or not. We all have them. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but we all have them. It's part of being human. And once we get close to someone, we find out more of what those wounds are. Their insecurities, their fears, their hurts, etc. It's part of the beauty of intimacy, but it's also what's so scary about it. By becoming close, you're making yourself that much more vulnerable. Now, if you have a wound and someone knocks it, whether accidentally or deliberately, if that wound is bad, what do you immediately do? Do you have a nice, calm, cool reaction that says, hey, I've just noticed you've stabbed me where I'm already hurt. In the future, it would mean a lot to me if you didn't put the knife right there. That'd be great. Thank you, I appreciate you. Not the typical reaction, right? Usually, first thing you want to do is punch back. So when I'm working with clients, I basically see two types of hurt that develop. There's like well-meaning hurt, and then there's pure reactionary hurt. And the truth is you've got to protect yourself from both. Reactionary hurt is that chicken or egg, I hit her, she hit me fight that happens when we touch each other's wounds, either purposely or deliberately. With that reactionary hurt, there's a really good saying I like that's hurt people hurt people. That reactionary hurt is, it's one of the biggest things that will erode relationship. Because if I do something fairly bland, like let's say I just accidentally stumble across a little wound for you, and you destroy me for it reactionarily, then inevitably, I'm probably going to end up resenting you in some way. And because there's this thing where hurt people, the more you sense a guy is wounded, the more difficult it's going to be for him to build really healthy relationship because of that reactionary thing. And it's the same for you. The more wounding you're struggling with, the more you're going to have to really own that and come to terms with that and work through some of the deeper healing stuff for you to really be able to not have the guy walking on eggshells and worrying about triggering you. Now, obviously the way we react is different. A lot of women, when they're hurt, have been more trained to hide their pain or to compartmentalize it, for example, to not complain, etc. So even though you might not react the same way a guy does, where he might react by genuine anger or resentment or viciousness, whatever it was, in either case, you want to be working on this stuff, working on healing it so that you don't have to experience this when you accidentally trod on each other's wounds, and you can have more of a calm reaction. That's the reactionary side of things. And then the other thing I see a lot is men, you want to know what a man's thinking a lot of the time he hurts you, especially when it's not reactionary? He is thinking, I'm doing what's best. And unfortunately, you've got to train him out of that. He may have had a mother in the past who he had to treat with great fragility and could never hurt her feelings, otherwise he felt like a horrible boy. He may have had a girlfriend in the past who every time he told her the truth, she got really, really angry and controlling, or made him feel like a horrible, horrible person, or flat out told him he was a horrible, horrible person. So he says, I'm going to do what's best and tell little white lies here and there so as not to upset her. When a man hurts you, if it's not a reactionary hurt, the vast majority of the time he is thinking, I'm doing what's best. And now before you get angry at me in the comments, I am zero making excuses for any man in this situation. This is not for you to be understanding. I've worked with too many clients who have done this, who have like, oh, you know, I just see, he's working so hard, I need to understand. Meanwhile, they're getting bitten by the dog. Oh, the dog's chewing my arm off, but it's because it was, you know, traumatized when it was young, so I just need to be really understanding. Meanwhile, they've lost their arm, the dog's now chewing the other arm. That's a metaphor for what happens if you're too understanding. As kids, we have this thing where it's like understanding and acceptance equals moving closer, and not understanding and not acceptance equals moving away. It's like pick one. You're understanding, accepting, and you're close. You're not understanding, not accepting, and you're moving away. Those are your only two options. And it makes sense, right? Think of Think of what it's like when you're a kid. Can you be understanding, accepting, and have parents move away? Like, that's kind of weird, doesn't make sense. Or if you're not understanding, not accepting, do you usually move closer? Not really. Usually that's when you feel disconnected from your love figure. So we have these two things. And so it's like, a lot of my clients that come to me, it's like, I've got to be super understanding and get my arm bitten off, or I've got to totally not understand, and that's the only way I can set the boundary. There is a third option. And the third option, which you did not learn as a kid, is the one you want to apply if you want really healthy relationship. And that is, I can be understanding, accepting, and move away if necessary. And that's it. It's pretty much as simple as that. You are allowed, as an adult, to move away from situations where you are being bitten or hurt, and you can be understanding, and you can even be accepting. Again, I'm not giving you an excuse to say, oh, I'm just going to run away at the first instance. But if there is a behavior that's hurting you, particularly one that is violating a deal breaker of yours in some way, and you do not directly address it, set clear boundaries with it, and back those boundaries up with actions, you're going to get eaten. You're going to be the person on the right. Or your left. The right? I never know how the camera works. Anyway, point is, you've got to make sure that you set those boundaries. Just because you understand a man is meaning well or is reacting does not mean that you need to accept certain behaviors. And I'd say the same thing for a man listening to this as well. Healthy relationships are about understanding, accepting, and setting good boundaries. Hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you've been in a situation like this. I'd love to hear your story. Have you been hurt? Does this connect a couple of the dots for you? Let me know in the comments.